Eagles talk on A2D Radio. We are back, and tonight we are going to shift or tweak our positional rankings, and we are doing a wide receiver draft. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll see where certain players go, and then at the end, tell us who you think has the best team, and also we'll get into it with Les Bowen later on. We'll talk about the current Eagles wide receivers, DeVonta, AJ Brown. Where do they rank amongst the top receivers in the league, and who's going to win the wide receiver 3 spot? All that and more. Eagles talk. Let's go.
You love the Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! You love the Philadelphia Eagles, let me get a hell yeah! Philadelphia!
Like I said, Eagles Talk on A2D Radio. We are brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, etc., etc. Make sure you mention A2D to get 10% off your in-store purchase. It's your boy Chucks. I'm back along with my 2 co-hosts, Brinks and PY. Gentlemen, what's good? How you been?
Good. Ready to talk some receivers. Ready to talk some offense.
Yeah, this would be a very, very interesting. And I like that we switch it to a draft. This way we can talk about more receivers out there. So it's going to be very interesting to see who falls where. But I'm excited. And then we'll have Les on again coming back from his vacation over in London. That should be interesting. And we'll talk Eagles wide receivers. But we'll get into the poll question before we head into the draft. DeVonta Smith will lead the Eagles in receiving yards in 2024. Agree or disagree? Brinks, let's start off with you because last week I started off with PY. What do you think? Do you think this is the year Smitty becomes the leading receiver in terms of yards for the Eagles, or do you think it's going to be A.J. Brown again?
No, it's A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown. I love DeVonta Smith. I'll see how high I have my power rankings in front of me. Both A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith are extremely high on those power rankings for our receivers draft. But A.J. Brown's in a different league than DeVonta Smith. A.J. Brown's in a different league than a lot of guys in this league. So he's going to have the most yards. The quick slant to A.J. Brown is might be the most unstoppable route in the entire NFL. He's really good with his hands, and that swim move, he gets inside, he catches the football, and he can do damage after the catch. Really the only reason why A.J. Brown isn't number one on my power rankings is because, some of these guys, they can do the inside and the outside stuff, which makes them slightly more valuable than A.J. Brown. Now, if you want to have a conversation about who's going to have the most receptions on the Eagles, that's a different conversation. So I think that might be, the Slim Reaper, DeVonta Smith. Love them both. They're both really good, but A.J. Brown is he's a different cat with respect to the Slim Reaper.
That's a good answer. I don't – all that are definitely reasonable. PY, what do you think?
So let me just preface this by saying I love DeVonta Smith. I wanted him from day one. That was my guy. I drove 3 hours to pick up his jersey behind me in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. That is how diehard of a DeVonta Smith fan I am. I love the Slim Reaper. He has proved all of his doubters wrong. However, with that said, it's just not happening. He is a phenomenal wide receiver and probably one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. It's just when you have A.J. Brown on this team, it's just not happening. He's too effective. He's too dangerous. He's too powerful on both inside and outside, especially when you're talking slants. He's what Michael Thomas people thought Michael Thomas was. He's insane. A.J. Brown makes everything happen. And as much as I love DeVonta Smith, it's just not going to happen as long as A.J. Brown is on this football team.
Yeah, that's definitely understandable. I'm going to be the black sheep here. I'll agree to the poll just because I'll admit though, I think that your points, both of you, they're completely fair. And based on history, we know that AJ Brown is probably the top wide receiver on this team. And right now, I'd say if I were to pick currently, I'd say AJ Brown is still the better wide receiver over DeVonta. So I don't want to get misconstrue that. I think that for me, it's just I have such high hopes for Kellen Moore's system, and I think that DeVonta is going to be that new Keenan Allen-ish type of guy. They're going to feed him the ball a lot more than they had.
More creative ways.
They're going to create ways for him. And so, like, because of that, I think there are going to be a lot of yak opportunities too. I think that, like, in the end, DeVonta Smith is going to get more receiving yards by like a little bit. I mean like maybe by like 100 yards even. Like
I think they're just going to use him in more creative fashions than they will AJ. Like AJ he's going to have his outside opportunities. He's going to have his inside opportunities. He's going to be able to do the slants that he's phenomenal at. But I just think you're going to be able to see DeVonta Smith in a lot of creative aspects. Yeah. Like you're going to see him on reverses. You're going to see him on bubble screens. You're going to see him like doing trick plays. Like you're going to see him doing a lot of things that Kansas City does really well.
Yeah. So I think
you never expect on this team.
Yeah. So that's why I'm going to just, toss something up and say, oh, sure, I agree. But, are the chances of that happening? Maybe it's like 45%, but I'll just agree just to be different. Here, but I hear you on that, and I think a lot of people what you said brings. We got Dynasty here, saying the same thing. He'll lead the team in receptions, but not yards, and Andrew Baker says the same thing. Disagree on yards, but he agrees in catches, and he even says TD. So it's the good thing about it, guys, is it's a great problem to have because we have two like wide receiver one caliber talents. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be it's a great problem to have, and we're going to really enjoy having both of them. And we'll get into a deeper conversation later on, especially when Les gets on with us. But let's
every team gets to keep their twos.
What's up?
I said not every team gets to keep their 2-star wide receivers.
Exactly, not every team does. So let's get to the draft here, guys. And if you're following along, definitely let us know what you think of each pick, how you think it would go. So the order is going to go PY first. Briggs is going to go second. I'm going to go third. We're going to do snake draft order. Okay. So, PY, who you got with the first overall pick? I think I know who you're going to take, but who you're going to go with? And remember, PY, this is if you're building a team based on just one season, 2024. So,
just 2024?
Yeah. If you're building a team.
I'm building a team. Okay. AJ Brown.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. All right, whatever. You're such a homer. You really
I'm not. If I'm heading into 2024, I feel so confident in what I can do with AJ Brown.
You would pick AJ Brown over. I mean, I love AJ Brown, but you're gonna really pick AJ Brown over Justin Jefferson, who's arguably the best wide receiver in the league. And then if not Justin Jefferson,
if it's just regular season, I would say Justin Jefferson. For the whole season together, I would say AJ Brown because I know I can count on AJ Brown in big moments in the playoffs. What can I count on with Justin Jefferson in the playoffs?
You are such a homer. It was a mistake having you go first. Anyway.
Yes, and you constantly do it.
Oh my God. Andrew Baker says, PY, come on. I can't. I don't even know. But Brinks, go ahead and who are you going to take at the second pick?
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
Justin Jefferson. He's probably the best outside receiver in the league. He might be the best slot receiver if given the opportunity. Like, I'm really not holding first off, the Vikings were cooking last year before Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely cooking. So, the playoff stuff, I don't really hold that against Justin Jefferson at all. But, if you're building a team, for next year, Justin Jefferson, he's the best receiver in the league.
Yeah.
You can argue it maybe a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, Baker says Jefferson.
He's not better than AJ. Get out,
AJ. So we'll get to it soon. We'll get to that topic soon. That's gonna come up soon. So with me, I'm going to go. To me, here's
I'm so shocked by this.
Here's how I pick. if you're talking about the best receivers in the league, it's a two-person conversation. It's Justin Jefferson and it's
And
Tyreek Hill.
there we go. It's like
And I don't
Yeah.
think I really don't think there's anyone else you can make a conversation for based on who are the two best receivers in the league. It's them two. It really is them two. And the fact that Tyreek Hill fell to me, I expected totally. I'm like, all right, they're gonna go 1-2 in some order, and I was gonna have to pick between AJ and whatnot. But Tyreek
this
Hill
just
falling
shows
to
my
me,
love for you.
yeah, Tyreek Hill falling to me, I will gladly take that. I will gladly take that. And then
It's my Father's Day gift to you.
so as on the wraparound, I've got a decision here. So the way I personally break down the rankings, right? So tier 1 is Justin Jefferson and Tyreek, as I said. That tier 2, I've got 3 guys. Okay, I've got Jamar, I've got AJ, and I've got CeeDee Lamb. All right, so I've got to pick between Chase and CD. I am going to go with Jamar Chase because I think Jamar Chase is that type of he is the type of talent that he could make when he's on, he could make an argument for best wide receiver in the league along with Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill. So I would gladly take Jamar Chase here and be very happy with my first 2 picks. So
That's a very solid pick.
that's a great pick. That's a great pick. All right, Brinks, who you got at as your second?
Yeah, I'm not excited about it. I don't want to spend too much time on a Cowboy, but it's got to be CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb. Yep.
Pretty much my whole description about Justin Jefferson, just apply it to CeeDee Lamb, but CeeDee Lamb's just like a tick below.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can play. Like they made a concerted effort after the first few games to be like, okay, we're going to just feed CeeDee Lamb, and for good reason, very very good reason. You know, I personally, if it comes between AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb, as Andrew Baker says, I personally would pick AJ Brown a smidge over CeeDee Lamb, but I understand if people would pick Lamb over AJ. I have them in the same tier. So if you want to pick either one, I don't think that's a bad argument. To me, they're all in that same tier. So in terms of how I feel like AJ Brown is just more dominant
Yes.
than CeeDee Lamb is. You know what I mean? See, I think just a little bit CeeDee Lamb benefits sometimes from being the only reliable guy on the Cowboys.
Yes.
So they force feed him receptions, but for good reason. I'm not trying to take away anything, but what I'm saying is, like, I think AJ
There's
Brown.
no other option on that team.
Yeah, so they force feed him, and
80-year-old Brandon Cooks.
For good reason. For good reason. I'm again not trying to hate on CD. AJ Brown is just dominant. He's unique. And so like AJ Brown is like the closest thing we've had to Terrell Owens. But he's not on Teal's level. But
no
like
one
your
is.
play style, you have that physical guy who he's like jacked like a running back after the catch. So Andrew Baker also, he says Lamb is more versatile, so that's why I have him over to AJ. But it's close, very close. I think Lamb, he's more versatile in terms of like you can put him in the slot and run a bunch of different types of routes. And that's definitely a fair argument. I think with AJ though, he's just so dominant in what he does.
Yep.
And if this was a conversation of the AJ Brown we saw in Tennessee, then I would pick Lamb over AJ Brown because AJ Brown was just like a short intermediate guy,
Yep.
right? But once he came to Philly and started playing with Jalen Hurts,
deep ball.
We saw that element of his game that no one thought, but like a lot of people didn't know he had. So he can threaten all 3 levels of the field. So
it's got a rocket on his ass when he's playing in Philly. Like he's just soaring through the sky. Like
he's dominant. So I think
he's Buzz Lightyear at the end of Toy Story. Let's just be real.
Yeah, that's the differentiating factor, but it's close. All right, PY, who are you going to round it out before we go to less? Who's going to be your second pick here?
No. It's got to be DeVonta Adams.
Okay. Now I'm going to pose this question to you guys.
Okay.
Are you concerned about his age? He's entering year, I think it's 31.
I'm not. I just think he's still so good and so dominant and can help you if you give him a quarterback who is even 1/16th better than what he was dealing with last year.
How about you, Brinks? You concerned about Devontae Adams?
He's a freak. I mean, Devontae Adams is a freak. No, these receivers these days, they're going to play well into their 30s.
Yep.
With how the rules are set up.
Look at Mike Evans.
Yeah. I part of me wishes I kind of wish that Devontae Adams would just request a trade. I don't like him in Las Vegas. Like,
yes, he should go back to the Packers. That would be so. I'm sorry. That would be so funny.
That would be pretty funny.
It's like, oh, Aaron's gone. I'm back, baby.
Oh my God. Let's bring on our wonderful guest, Les. How you doing?
He is.
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing well. How was your vacation?
It was wonderful. I was in London for the Phillies, and then we took the train up to Edinburgh, and it was
Outlander territory.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was quite a. I love London. I was there with the Eagles in 2018. This time I wasn't working, so it was even better.
Do you have any fish and chips?
Yeah, all that stuff, But I just think it's a great city. We went to see a play. I mean, it was really cool. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've the last time I was in London I was so young, maybe like 10. I visited family there, so like it's been a long time. But I remember having a blast when I was there. So hopefully sometime I'll be able to go back. But yeah, that's great. I'm glad I had a great vacation. So you're back with us. We're talking Eagles again. We're talking wide receivers. Our full question, Les, was very interesting. DeVonta Smith will lead the Eagles in receiving yards in 2024. What do you think about that? Knowing Kellen Moore and his offense and what he likes to do with his receivers, do you think DeVonta Smith is going to emerge this year?
I'll agree. I have no idea, but I'll agree because for a couple reasons. One is I think there'll continue to be a focus on A.J. Brown, maybe even more so than in the past. Defensively, I think opponents are going to want to limit him to what extent they can. The other is that DeVonta is, progressing. I think he was young when he was drafted, and we're just 3 years later. It's
worked out very well.
I think he wants to be a bigger focal point, and I think he's striving to be more consistent and more, harder to shut down than he has been. Not that he's been easy to shut down, but there have been games where, he's not physically dominant the way AJ is. And so there have been games where he doesn't get his touches. He kind of fades into the background a little bit. I think you'll see less of that as time goes on. So, there's a good chance. I mean, we don't have any idea what Saquon Barkley could lead the Eagles in receiving yards this year for all we know. But
can you imagine?
Yeah, go back to the Brian Westbrook days, that it's happened, but
I mean, it did, but like we also got to remember who was there. Like he was like their second best option.
Terrible, yeah.
Best option.
Could throw Chucks out there and he'd be a better option than some of those guys. Like,
yeah, true.
You flatter me.
I think there's a decent chance of that. Talking about receiver rankings as you were, I was looking at PFF's rankings, and one problem DeVonta has, I think they have him like 16th or something, which is really pretty far down there. If you look at the rankings, there's no second receivers.
Yep.
Like in the top 10.
Yeah, they're all
your team's number 2 receiver, you just don't get that cred. Even from a supposedly analytic-based place like PFF, it's really hard unless you're putting up the numbers to have that kind of status in the league. Yeah. And so I think there's just a lot of reasons why DeVonta's numbers are going to go up.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll transition that to our next, conversation topic is, because you alluded to it, like where would you rank AJ and where would you rank Smitty? And, when it comes to like wide receiver twos, right? Second wide receivers across the league. I think it's undoubtedly DeVonta Smith as the best wide receiver two in the league. And the reason I say that is because because the conversation usually it gets brought up as him, T. Higgins, and Jalen Waddle, right? So if you're talking about them, or you can even throw Brandon Ayuk, because I guess people see depending who you talk to, people see Debo as their top weapon. But
one of the two of those guys,
one of you, right? So look, to me, I picked Smitty because when AJ's not there, even like that rookie season for Smitty, we saw him be a number one. We've seen him come in and make plays like a number one. So we know he can do that. And that's
I agree.
That's the advantage he has over everyone else.
Yeah, my top, I would go with Justin Jefferson right now, even though he's coming off injury, as the most accomplished, the guy that's most solidly number one. And Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. And then I get to AJ pretty quickly after that. And I might even put AJ, in a tie with those two guys. But CeeDee Lamb, I don't know. We'll see. He's emerging, but he's got to keep emerging for me. Davante Adams, I don't know. Yeah, he's out there in Las Vegas. I think the quarterback you're playing with and the offense you're playing in has so much to do with this. Like, again, I was referring to Pro Football Focus's rankings, and they had McLaurin from the Commanders way down there. Well, to me, if you put Terry McLaurin in an offense with a really good coordinator and a good quarterback, he's top 10. I'm sorry. I think that guy's that's a guy you win with there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get that kind of playing where he plays. So it's hard for me to
Mike Evans effect.
Put where Davante Adams belongs right now, given the situation that he's in. But as far as DeVonta Smith, I want to say top 10, but then you look at the top 10, there are a lot of really great receivers in there. Yeah. I think he certainly can be top 10. I don't think he is quite yet. I certainly wouldn't put him like 15th or 16th. I'd probably put him like 11th, 12th, somewhere in there right now, with the thought that he'll move into the top 10 this year.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, the way I do rankings, as you all know, like I like to divide up into tiers. And so once you get past like that, those top two tiers, it's like a cluster of so many guys you can make an argument for. So like that's where the Smitty is right now. So you can make an argument for him being as high as like 7 or 8. You can make an argument for him to be like 12, like you said.
Yeah.
So like it's close, and then that's how tough it is. There's so many good receivers, and when you get in a conversation with top guys, it's a good conversation to have where there's really no wrong answer. PY Briggs, do you have any questions for Les?
Obviously, my opinion is that this is the best wide receiver starting duo in the league. But past that, Les in the receiver room, like we got a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
You have Parris Campbell, you have John Ross, who's coming back to try to play. The guy from Texas A&M, whose name I forget right now, that they picked.
Ainias Smith.
Ainias Smith, thank you. Johnny Wilson from Florida State, big, huge guy, but can't catch. Like, where do you see this going after A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith?
Yeah, that's real interesting. That's something, a lot of people are thinking about. When I think in minicamp, when Nick was asked about it, he started talking about Calcaterra, didn't he? Or somebody like that. Because he's such a good pass receiver, and wouldn't be surprised if he had a bigger role. That was an odd. It was like the time that a couple months ago when he was asked about the right guard position, he forgot to mention Tyler Steen. I don't know what they're going to do there. I love that John Ross comeback story. That's always a good one. That as a writer,
this guy right now.
Training camp days on something like that. Does it ever work out? I don't know. to me, John Ross was always one of those cautionary things where everybody gets all excited about the 40 time at the combine. And I would say, well, yeah, the guy that really blew it away, yeah, what has he ever done?
Yeah.
But it's not a big problem. And I think something will emerge, somebody, I hope, better than Quez Watkins, more dependable than Quez Watkins will.
The bar is so low, Les.
Yeah, it really is. And they kept running Quez. Frankly, I agree with my old colleague, Paul Domowitch, who couldn't figure out why Greg Ward couldn't get some of those snaps, that Nick loved Quez Watkins' speed. Well,
yeah.
If you don't ever catch the ball and you give away intercept, if you just don't fight for the ball at all, what good is your speed?
Yeah.
I would have rather had a productive, short range guy in there rather than a speed guy who doesn't ever move the needle. But one of those guys, if you get to training camp and nobody really is jumping up and making a name, they can go out and find somebody will get cut that you can plug in there for, not for 50 catches, but 20, 25. There's not going to be that many, especially I think one of the things I want to see Kellen Moore do this year is get Dallas Goedert back in the offense. So the ball isn't going to go to that third wide receiver a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
Goddard's basically their third wide receiver. This guy's going to be their fourth, essentially.
Yeah.
And I love the 40 times guys. Like 4.5, you're a pro, but 4.6, you're too slow and can't play.
Yeah.
Like it's only a tenth of a second.
Yeah.
And it has, with that position, has so much to do with getting in and out of breaks and your body lean and how you. It really isn't about how fast you can run down the field. Very rarely is it just about that. But anyway,
that's another topic, is how overrated the 40 is. We talk a lot of things about the combine.
The combine in general.
Yeah. But yeah, it's with Quez Watkins, and you mentioned him, and one of the most frustrating things to me that drove me nuts about Quez is they made him out to be some great yak threat when he is really bad when it comes to run after the catch. Really bad.
Yep.
It was that one game last year, was against the Commanders, or I forget what it was, where he had that
Rams.
screen.
It was the Rams.
It was the Rams. Thank you. The Rams, where he took that wide receiver screen and went
wide open,
shut upfield, and everyone threw their hands. I swear to God,
it's a Trent Richardson-esque hole that he could not find his way through.
Crazy, that drove me nuts. It was like the one good play he's had in terms of yak was his rookie year against the Cardinals, and that's it. He's never made a good play.
That 40-yard run screen thing, and they used to use him on screens all the time, and it would never work. He's minus 5 yards every time. They would try the reverses with him, and it would just like he's Nelson Aguilar. It would just never work out.
Well, I think when you draft a guy like that in the 5th round and he has some talent, you get him into camp the first time and he's, hey, look at this guy, you sort of overvalue what you've seen. You get excited, and that was Quez to me. Quez spent years being, you just wait, he's going to show. I know Mike Quick was a big Quez guy early on, and Mike Quick knows a few things about wide receiving, but you get invested in these guys, and what do they end up, really doing sometimes? You have to, the initial, hey, for 5th round, that looks pretty good, doesn't necessarily mean that 3 years later you're going to have a really good player.
If Jalen Reagor doesn't crap the bed as much as he does, to where Quez Watkins needs to have a major role, do we look at him to where, oh my God, this is the year, we got to give him a shot, or were we just so desperate at the time?
I do think it's hard to, if you're that young, up and coming guy that showed promise as a, not highly drafted rookie, you kind of have to build on that. I don't think you stay in that role, if I'm making any sense, unless you're a great special teams player
which he is.
I think they look for somebody else who might turn into something more than just a spot player. I just don't think guys stay like Greg Ward. I mean, he's not any worse now than he was 4 years ago, but is he on the team? No. You hit a certain point and they say, okay, that's all he's got. Let's see who else we have around here. That's just how it goes. Unless you can really make yourself an integral part of things, you have an expiration date.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys remember also there was another wide receiver that draft. They took John Hightower.
Yeah. He was sixth round that year, and he didn't really ever show much of anything. Wasn't he sixth round?
I thought he was the fourth round.
I forget what.
I think I'm right about that, but I could be wrong. I don't have the book in front of me, but I thought Quez was fifth and Hightower sixth. And
I'm still looking it up.
But Hightower to me didn't.
Hightower was fifth, so maybe I think they were both fifth round.
There we go. Okay.
Hightower was first, and then shortly after was Quez.
Because
that was the draft. They were lacking in speed.
That was the speed year. And they went out and they traded for Marquise Goodwin too.
They really wanted to inject the wide receiver with speed. And it didn't work out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what happens with these speed guys. They don't learn. PY, anything? And if you're in the chat listening, if you have any questions before Les signs off, definitely shoot them up. But PY, you have any questions for Les?
If there was a wide receiver you'd target for the Eagles to possibly trade if things don't work out right now, are there any that would pique your interest?
I've thought about that, and that's so tough because if you're a wide receiver of any pedigree whatsoever, coming in here to be behind A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith is not an attractive setup. If you're good. If you're good, you're like, oh my God, no. Even I know you might have a chance to win a Super Bowl, but still, it's going to be a tough. I can't really see many guys unless you're coming off an injury or, I can't see many guys really that fit that they're going to give something. First of all, what are they? Are they Eagles who still have roster holes maybe that they do need to address? We'll see when they get into camp. And, are they going to spend some capital on a wide receiver at this point? I can't imagine that. So you're really thinking about, somebody that might get cut, I think, more than anybody that you would really look at and say, oh boy, I wish we had him, somebody gets cut that still has something left. That's what you're looking at really at this point.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's ideally I'd like Parris Campbell to be the guy because Parris Campbell vet been around, but when he's on the field in the past, he's been a good playmaker, a solid playmaker. It's just a matter of after all the injuries he sustained, does he have anything left? So that's a big question. And I guess we'll see that in camp. But I think that's the route you want to. That's what you want to target, right? You want to go for a veteran who doesn't really need to be the guy, but can make plays once or twice a game and when you need him to. And so that's what you're looking for. And then because you already have two young guys who you could look for in development,
and you're probably going to want a guy who can block.
Who can. Very good point. Yeah, very, 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 very good point. So.
Maybe J.J. Arthega-Whiteside is out there.
He's available.
That's a great one. Les, anything you want to plug before we send you?
Real quickly, I know we're talking wide receivers. I don't want to hijack the conversation, but I'm the only person on earth, or perhaps in the known universe, who hasn't had a chance to weigh in on Jalen Hurts' comments about Nick Sirianni.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, let us know.
And I'm going to disappoint you because I don't have a real hot take.
How un-Marcus Hayes of you.
Well, actually, did you read Marcus's column about this?
No, did not.
No.
He agrees with me. He's like, it was weird, but I think there's a lot of tea leaf reading in this. and it stems from the fact that we all have seen Jalen look askance at Nick when Nick's acting like an idiot on the sideline. Coupled with the fact that it is weird that they have basically taken the offense away from an offensive coach and left him in place.
Mm-hmm.
And you take those two things and you put them together with a kind of inscrutable answer to a question that he never bothered to clear up. And you think, wow, there must be real trouble. I don't know. Maybe there is, but I don't think you can. I looked right before going on the show. I looked at those answers again, and they're just so weird that
it's June press
conference. I don't know what he said. I almost think he didn't understand the questions he was being answered.
Probably.
And that's not that he's a dumb guy or anything, but he tends to think in a different framework than I think a lot of us do. And I don't think he quite grasped. We all saw softball question, praise Nick for being so, willing to make changes to his offense. But I'm not sure that's what he heard. I think he heard maybe that he was being asked to weigh in on how this was going to turn out, or what, whether Nick should have done this. Maybe he thinks that they just called the wrong plays at the wrong times last year. Maybe he's not enjoying learning a whole new offense again, which kind of seemed quite possible from what he said. But I'm not going to say, oh, God, he hates Sirianni. Although there are people that will tell you that. I don't know. But I want to see more information before I make any drastic judgments about Hurts and Sirianni. And I don't know that he has to like Sirianni or even, get along with him very well for them to have a good team. But I think we're all kind of, when stuff like this comes up, what it reflects is we're all kind of a little bit uneasy with this whole Sirianni is still here because they went to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago and he looked like he had all the answers in the world. But then a year later, he had no answers. His only answer was Matt Patricia, which was a disaster. And yet he's still the coach. So we don't really know. We assume that that the team is going to snap back and, everything's going to be good again. And the slide last season is going to be a thing of the past. But we don't know that. And I think anytime something a little funky comes up with regard to Sirianni, I think people are really, is there something really wrong behind the scenes? I mean, I think we're nervous about that. I really think we are. And, we'll just have to ride that out, I think.
Yeah. I think I'd frame it this way. It's like, it's hard to have a firm take because, in my opinion, this is unprecedented. I don't ever remember a team that was 1 year removed from the Super Bowl collapsing the way they did.
No, it's never happened.
Yeah, and then an offensive head coach losing his offensive control and still remaining I don't know how to look at that because there's no precedence for that.
Right.
So we don't know how it's panned out, and just because it hasn't happened before, we can't say firmly one way or another. We can't say if it's going to work out or not. I just like to look at it like this. Right now, he is a CEO type of head coach. He doesn't call plays. He's just there to manage the game. And there are other coaches that have that type of responsibility. They manage the team. They manage the game. And
most of them, though, have personnel.
Yes.
They're almost like the GM.
That is very.
Nick is not. Nick is Howie's the GM. This is just a really odd situation. I mean, this is going to be a big theme of the season.
It is. Yeah,
it's an almost unprecedented situation, as you said. And I don't know what's going to happen.
We just don't know, and I think that's the difference. Is to me, it's not concern; it's more about question mark. Mm-hmm. That's how I say. I think it's a question mark. I can't say a concern yet because before the collapse happened, Nick to me was one of the best game managing coaches in terms of, hey, when do I call timeouts? When do I challenge? When do I do this? To me, he was so good at it. The collapse happened, and all that went out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his relationship with the players was so tight.
Yes.
That was the thing. The Super Bowl year, I thought, well, this is a guy that he's almost like one of the players. And I wonder if that will get old in 10 years or something when he's not that age group anymore. But for right now, man, this guy just really has it dialed in. And then last year, the players didn't seem to feel that quite as much, especially Jalen. It was, and the fact that he couldn't. If I were a player on that team and we had finished that way, and the head coach had been able to do nothing, I'd be looking at the guy very differently, frankly, than I looked at him before. And so he's got to get that back somehow, and it'll be interesting to see if that works. So anyway, I didn't want to take up your whole
fingers crossed.
Oh no, it's a good topic to talk about because we haven't dived
the most positive take on the internet we probably have. What do you mean he doesn't think it's on Nick Sirianni's fault? He deserves to be fired.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out. Les, thank you again as always for coming on. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks, guys. I enjoyed being with you. I'm glad to be back, and I'll talk to you next week.
We will talk to you next week, Les. You have a good week, okay?
You too. Take care.
That is Les Bowen. We love having him on as always. And a reminder, we are brought to you by Baggio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel. A2D Radio. Mention them for 10% off your order. All right, guys. So we've got about 20 minutes left, roughly. Let's get back to our wide receiver draft, and then we'll talk about other Eagles topics. But 2 rounds in. Let's see if I think we can knock out 5 rounds. Let's go 5 rounds. PY, we're snaking it. We're wrapping around back to you. You just took Davante Adams, who not too long ago was looked at as the best wide receiver in the league. Now he's dropped off a little bit, but we all think he still is that type of guy. So you've got him as your second pick. Who do you have as your third pick?
It's a tough one. Now it's getting to the
now it gets nitty gritty, right? Now it's like preference. And
literally read my mind. I was literally just about to say that. But I'm gonna make you cry tears of joy because I think I'm going Puka Nacua.
Puka, love me some Puka.
I know you
Nacua. Nice. Now here's a question: when we get to Puka Nacua, you take him here early. I don't hate it. I really like that pick. So, is Puka Nacua now the Rams wide receiver 1 over Cooper Kupp?
At this point, I would say yes.
I think he is. Brinks, what do you think?
No.
You don't think so?
What do you mean no?
I don't think so. I mean, if he does what he did last year again, sure. But, I mean, Cooper Kupp, he was hurt last year.
Cooper Kupp's been hurt the last few years.
I mean, for only playing 12 games and being damaged in those 12 games, I mean, Cooper Kupp still got 95 targets. He still had 59 catches and 5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I get it. I'm expecting a big bounce back this year from Cooper Kupp.
Sure.
I get where you're coming from. I'm not gonna slam you like PY tries to. I think that with Cooper Kupp, with him already entering age 32 and the injuries he's dealt with, I think those injuries now 2 years in a row have kind of diminished his athleticism. Because remember, when he was in his peak, when he got the Triple Crown, people were like, oh, he's a white wide receiver. He's probably not athletic. No, he was really athletic. 2 injury-riddled years is going to do something to that ability. So I think he's on the downside, unfortunately. So if I'm projecting moving forward, I do think Puka is the number 1 guy, and I think that's okay because I still think Kupp could still flourish as a complement to Puka. I still think Kupp is going to produce. I just think his wide receiver 1, like top tier wide receiver days are over, and it was 1 year. And I think this is why, again, the whole Cooper Kupp conversation. This is why I say that before I label someone as elite, no matter what the position, they have to show me they have to show me more than 1 year of top tier production. And after Cooper Kupp went into won the Triple Crown and everything, everyone was so eager to put him as the best wide receiver in the league. But I still had guys like Tyreek and Justin Jefferson and Devontae Adams over him because of the consistency over multiple years. That's the difference to me. Is it takes more than 1 year to do it. That's for my criteria though. But Cooper Kupp, I still think he's going to produce well. Wouldn't be surprised if he reaches 1,000 yards. But I think Puka's the guy there in LA.
I mean, you're losing if you're a defense coordinator. You're losing sleep over every guy that's been drafted so far. Like being, oh my God, we're playing this guy. What are we gonna do? Except Puka Nacua.
Oh, I disagree.
I think Puka. I don't put Puka in the same tier as an AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek, Jamar, CD. I don't put him in that tier, but he's in that next tier down to me. Like he's close. He's right there. So like I can see the arguments. I mean, what I saw from him on film too as the year progressed. Beginning of the year, he was just a zone beater, but he really developed his route running and started to really beat man coverage consistently. So that development was really like, if he was just the same player all year, I'd be like, we'll see how he does. But I saw him improve as a receiver rapidly his rookie year. So I'm like, that's impressive. So that's why I'm willing to give him more of the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, it's a conversation we'll have a year from now and see where he lands. All right, Brinks, who you got for your third wide receiver? Who are you going to take?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Good pick.
It's a solid one.
Stud. Safety blanket.
Mm-hmm.
Run after the catch. Inside, outside. Like, just a beast.
Yeah.
Just a beast.
I love it. I love it. I know that for me, I had concerns about Amon-Ra because I thought I looked at him as like a slot only guy. I think we saw a little bit of him being able to branch out and play a little bit. I don't know what the exact numbers were, but he did play toward the outside a little bit more, and he played really well. So that impressed me, and for that reason alone, if I were to rank again, he would get bumped up in my rankings because of that. He showed he's a stud no matter where you line him up. To me, I still think he's primarily you want him in the slot, but if you have to use him as like a Z receiver, movement guy, I think he can still flourish there too. So he really impressed me this past season. I like it. So for my third guy, I got a bevy of picks that I really, really like. Looking at it, I'm gonna go with Smitty.
There you go.
Yeah, I think Smitty. This is right around the range where I would look at him and say this is value. So, I have him in a tier with Brandon Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, and Nico Collins. To me, that's the conversation in terms of projecting forward. So, I'm gonna go DeVonta here with my third pick, and as we snake around, I am going to go. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk, my one guy. I think that Ayuk is another one neck and neck with DeVonta. I think you're talking about him as a guy that I really want him to just lead the Niners because they don't. He's their best receiver, but they don't treat him like that, and I think he deserves to go to a team where he is going to be the number one guy and he's going to flourish. So give me Brandon Ayuk. And I'm a happy guy. So, either of you, I don't know if you have takes on Smitty or Ayuk, if you want to talk about it.
They're both really good.
Cool.
Yeah, that's all. They're both really good. They're two really good picks.
Brinks. Who you got as your fourth guy?
I'm gonna take Michael Pittman here.
Good. Hey. Nice
you know, he's kind of the first guy on my team that's not like an inside-outside guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done it with like not great quarterback play.
Yeah.
Which impresses me. So, I mean, we'll see what Steichen's doing with Richardson this year. I like Richardson a lot.
Yeah, me too.
So I think he was killing it with Gardner Minshew last year.
QB1.
Yeah, he's probably going to be QB1 again for your boy Devontae Adams, your second pick.
That'd be great.
Out there in Vegas. I think that's their best option. But yeah, I mean, Michael Pittman, he's fast, he's big, he's strong. I like him a lot. He's good.
I love Pittman in terms of like he's what he is, and I really hope. I think if Anthony Richardson can stay healthy all year, I think Pittman's going to really benefit off that. So I agree. I really like Pittman. The duo of him and who is our guy that we love, guys? What's his name? The rookie.
Marvin Harrison.
Adonai Mitchell. Sorry, Adonai Mitchell. That duo is gonna feast. I really like that duo. Him and PY. Your fourth guy. Fourth and fifth.
Fourth guy, yes. Let me go with ladies and gentlemen, Garrett Wilson.
Nice pick. Garrett Wilson. He's so good.
Another guy who just like no matter who the quarterback is, he produces. Like when you're producing with Zach Wilson of all people, like you're a good wide receiver. Once again, the Mike Evans effect is here in real. To where you're so effective and you're so efficient that it doesn't matter who is throwing the ball. It's going for 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Garrett Wilson. I wish he was on a different team.
Yes, as do I.
Oh my God, he needs a quarterback.
Sure, I don't have one in New York.
I mean, I know there are different opinions about Aaron Rodgers, but like, part of me would like to see Aaron Rodgers stay healthy, simply because I want to see Garrett Wilson with a competent quarterback. That's what it is.
So he needs a new one in New York.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt again, yeah, but if he stays healthy, I think he will produce. RPY, your last pick, your fifth wide receiver.
I got to do it. Amari Cooper. I love Amari Cooper. He is.
Why?
What do you mean why? He's good. He's consistent. He makes big catches. Like
there are a lot of people on who I'd pick over Amari Cooper, but yeah, go ahead.
Just the definition of empty calories. He's the guy who hits 40 home runs a year when the game's 8-1 in the 8th inning, and it doesn't matter at all. That guy's never he couldn't win a game at checkers if it was for money. That guy stinks.
No,
I can't believe
he
he got picked on the show.
I wouldn't say he stinks, but
you think everyone stinks, Briggs. That's why your opinion means so little.
There are a lot of
wide receivers. Don't say everyone stinks.
You say everyone and their mother stinks. Stop.
That's not true at all.
Yes, it is. That's like your catchphrase.
Let's reel it in. So, I don't know. There's a lot of other talented wide receivers I would have picked over Amari. But, hey, it's your team. I just think he's over the hill. I think he's still a solid wide receiver. He's a top guy in Cleveland. So, obviously, he's going to produce a little bit because he's the number one guy. But I just think his best days are behind him. If I'm projecting for 2024, yeah, there are guys I'd rather have over Amari. Brinks, your last pick.
My last pick. I just think he's really talented. I'm going to take DJ Moore.
Nice pick. I love DJ Moore. So I like that pick.
He's just like, I feel like he's the best receiver. Him and DeVonta Smith, I feel like, are the best receivers in the league that nobody talks about.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I picked Pittman before him just because Pittman's like, he's bigger and stronger and does things. They're just different players. And I would rather have a receiver like Pittman than DJ Moore. But I mean, he can do everything, DJ Moore. He's so good. I thought that was a great, crafty little acquisition there for the Bears when they got him. Because that was
Caleb Williams, wide receiver 1 early.
This is my team, and Caleb Williams would not be the quarterback of my team that I would have DJ Moore catching the ball from.
That would be a mistake.
I don't think so, but we'll see.
What do you? I don't know what you're talking about, PY. No, I love the DJ Moore. He's one of the guys I would have considered too. So yeah, I like that. I've always been a DJ Moore fan. All right, so my last pick, I'm in a rock and a hard place because I'm staring at two guys. I like both of them. They're both young. I think both of them are wide receiver one. Will have wide receiver one upside. One is a little bit riskier, but I think his ceiling is higher. The other one is safer, and we've seen him
Go
do
with your
it.
heart.
Always go with your heart.
I'm just gonna go with the risky pick because that's me. I'm gonna take George Pickens because I love it.
Okay.
To me, he was the top wide receiver prospect that year. He was like he's when he is on, like when he has his head on straight, he absolutely is the number one wide receiver in this league. It's just a matter of can you get him to do that. And I think, he had those few games where he was complaining about lack of touches and stuff like that, and that was a whole debacle about him not blocking for Jalen Warren on that one run. But the next week, after the whole thing blew up, the following week he went off, and I think Coach Tomlin talked about it. It's like he's that type of guy, and I don't think the Steelers would have traded away Deontay Johnson if they didn't see Pickens as that guy. So I mean, I was debating between him and Nico Collins. I know there are other guys on here, Stephon Diggs. I don't know about Stephon Diggs because to me, he's a big question mark. How much of his decline late in the year last year was him, or how much was it the system of them not giving him touches? Cooper Kupp we touched on already. I'm not taking Deebo Samuel because I think he's declining. There's really no one else like that really is. It was again between Pickens and Nico Collins, and I'm gonna Pickens to me upside is higher than Nico Collins. I think Nico Collins is safer. So it was tough. I went with Pickens because I think he's gonna break out this year. So
I think. Well, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and talk up Russell Wilson because I do think he's going to start in Pittsburgh, at least to start the season. But even Russell Wilson's washed up ass is way better than all the trash that was playing in Pittsburgh last year.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
he's a free. I mean, and then if there was ever a coach that could get him to focus and hustle and, do things the right way, the championship way, it's Coach Mike Tomlin.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, yeah.
Good pick. I like it.
Yeah, I'm just betting on upside. It's risky. I'm just betting. It's between him and Nico, so it's stuff. But good job, guys. Well, we got our teams here. PY1 with AJ Brown, DeVonta Smith, Puka Nacua, Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper. Brings you in with Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore. I have got Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, DeVonta Smith, Brandon Ayuk, and George Pickens. So good job. I like this exercise. We got to talk about 15 receivers without having to do rankings. So that's a great way to. I thought it was a great way to touch on this. Are there any other receivers not mentioned that you wanted to touch on that you like, dislike, overrated, underrated?
Mike Evans. Mike Evans is a future. Mike
Mr.
Evans
Consistent.
is a future Hall of Famer. He's wide receiver 1,000 yards. He's at 1,000 yards receiving every year in his career.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
People tried
Every
to say
single
Odell
year.
was better.
I mean, well, Odell when he was Odell
Yeah,
was
was
better.
better.
But
Yeah.
the long haul,
Mhm.
consistent career, Mike Evans is going to go to the Hall of Fame one day. I don't know if Odell Beckham
without a
Jr.
doubt.
I don't know if Odell Beckham Jr. is.
No,
Yeah.
he will not.
Mike Evans, I tried to look for excuses to pick him, but I like all 5 of my guys better than Mike Evans. But
Yeah.
with
No, but I
respect
hear
to
you.
your George Pickens pick, Mike Evans
Would have been.
is
Yeah,
better than
it's
that. We're
if
going
I'm
with the
going
upside side. And
if I'm
Mike
going
Evans
off
is
of
certainly better than that sweatbag Amari Cooper. in
Amari
Cleveland.
Cooper, yeah. If it's gonna be one guy that I think should be replaced, it's Amari Cooper. But I if I was going off of legacy and resume and what they've done, Mike Evans would have made my team, but since we're projecting for 2024, it's just another year of him getting older. But I totally agree with everything you're saying. He always flies under the radar, but he's Mr. Consistent. So I hear you on that. PY, any wide receivers you want to give a shout out to?
He stole mine.
Mike Evans, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good one. I will say this too. If we had gone another round or two, I definitely would have drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., even though he's a rookie, hasn't played a snap. That's how good I think Marvin Harrison is going to be. So that's just me putting that out there.
I had first overall in my dynasty league, and I took him.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How you doing in that dynasty league? I remember you told
me.
Well,
it's stupid because some loser picked an ass cheeks team and quit. So my friends hit me up because I'm a fantasy sure I'll play.
Yeah.
It's not even that much money. I'm like, sure, I'll play. So I have this loser team, and we just did the draft a couple days ago. I got Marvin Harrison. I got the Sanders tight end from Texas.
Oh, okay, yeah, Jatavian Sanders, yeah.
I got Corley from the Jets, and I got what's his name? The UNC receiver that went to the Ravens.
Tez Walker.
That guy.
Yeah. Tez Walker.
Well, I traded for Javonte Williams when I took over the team, and he's going to get cut, it looks like. And I do have our boy Chase Brown, though.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, we'll see. I'll keep you updated.
We'll see with Javonte. I mean, I know that I heard those rumors too. He's going to cut. It all depends on how he looks, because if he's
traded a second-round pick for him, so he better not get cut.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets cut though, he'll get picked up. He'll get picked up by a team, and if he's fully healthy, he's a monster of a runner. So, all right, guys, great exercise, wide receiver draft. We will post these on the YouTube comments and the YouTube chats, definitely, with our teams. And if you're listening to us still, let us know who you think has the best team. We know it's not going to be PY.
So mean.
So let us know between Brinks and me who you think has the best team. And yeah, let us
pick
know.
Me just to anger Chucks.
Remember, we are brought to you by Bozzio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel. Mention A2D for 10% off your in-store purchase. Next week, I don't know what topic we're going to do. We'll see what comes up, but we'll try to continue to do either some rankings or some fun games to keep you guys occupied, keep you guys entertained. But we appreciate the support. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for listening in every week and coming back to us. We've got a month and a half roughly till training camp, so hang in there. We're trying. I know we're definitely trying to hang in there. But for myself, Chucks, for PY, and for Brinks down below, thank you. Love you. Go Birds, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.